And so you mentioned that you were born in India, and obviously now you live in the UK.
Yeah.
What was that like? How old were you when you moved to the UK, and what was that journey and transition like?
So I think I moved to the UK in 2023. It was the 16th of January 2023. I was probably 28 then, because I'm 30 now. Not the best with math, but yeah. So before I moved, because of the color of my skin and all those factors, I felt like I did stick out like a sore thumb, but also I felt like I didn't belong, and that was like, India was very much not my country. I don't really know, like, but because when I, like, if I spoke Hindi, and I can speak Hindi, but I sound different. I suppose it's the Catholic influence, but my Hindi sounds a bit anglicized, and I think that's because that's how people at home speak. I don't really know, but most people were like, "Oh, you don't sound really nice speaking like that. Like that's not for you." And so when you have like repeated interactions like that, it hurt, but that further reinforces the idea that, like, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe this is not where I'm meant to be. And then I moved over, and you have this thing of, I speak in English, and English is my first language, and so I'll be fine. But then I moved over, and I found out that it's so different, because even simple things like crossing the street, I think there's like spoken language, there's written language, and then, I might sound stupid saying this, but there's body language, and you can tell when someone's not from a place because of how they walk. And so I found that everybody else knew how to cross the street here, and back home we don't really think about it. I think cars move slower as well, so we see a space and we go.
Yeah.
Whereas here there's a whole system.
Yeah.
And so that took a bit of adjusting to, and then I found that my accent really stuck out here, and started holding me back a bit, and and so that took getting used to, and now I don't naturally speak the way you hear me speaking here, but I've gotten used to speaking like this so that people understand me better. Which again, at one point, if I moved here when I was 15, I'd have very, very gladly just abandoned the way I speak and just very, very like happily adopted a new accent. Whereas I moved when I was 28 and 30, and I'm like, I feel like I'm too old to want to actively change. You know, you kind of feel like, this is who I am, why would I do that? It feels disingenuous. But with time you adapt. And then so I moved here, and I found that I still didn't fit, and I missed home. And while I felt back then like I didn't belong and like I was not a part of everybody else, I realized that things here are so very different, and that everything that I know, from the way I walk and the way I eat and the way I breathe, and the way I chew my food, which might not seem like a big deal, but it's so much quieter here. And so even I chew my food with my mouth closed, but my wife can hear me. You know, it's a funny thing. Was very much home, and it took a year and a half for me to start. Like, I wouldn't go when I went to the supermarket. I wouldn't go to like the foreign section, because you can smell the spices, and I get quite teary. And it's a joke. It was funny because my wife would try and get me to try stuff, because she'd be like, "You'd be happy if you eat it," and I'd be like, "Nah, I'm fine." But secretly I was like, "I want to eat it. I miss the pickle, I miss the spice, I miss everything."
Yeah.
And gradually we'd go to, I think it's Levenshulme, and we'd go to a restaurant there, and I think the first time I went in, I got too emotional. I ate, and then I didn't go back for 2 or 3 months, and gradually but you can tell that I really, like, I love the food, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so nice.
Yeah.
And sort of just maximizing that experience and gradually coming to terms with the fact that I miss home.
Yeah.
And it's all I really know up to that point. It's most of my personality. And I do belong. And just because other people say you don't belong doesn't mean you don't belong, you know? It's only when you, like, if you're a fish, to take that very overused example, if you're a fish and you find yourself out of water on land, it's only then that you realize that you really belonged in the water. So yeah.
So that it's almost like moving here and being so separate from your culture made you realize, like, oh wow, like that was home, and I did belong there, and that is such a significant part of who I am.
100%.
Yeah, nice. And I could hear how important food was in that as well, and how that was like your link between here and home.
Yeah. I've started cooking. Only because I miss food, and people back home will laugh because I've classically never been somebody that cooked very well, and I take forever to do anything, so there's lots of cleaning up after me. But I've gotten pretty good at making food that now tastes like the restaurant food.
Wow.
Yeah, my mind, I can't believe that myself. I love food.
Do you have a favourite thing that you cook now?
I have a favourite thing that I haven't yet tried, which is biryani. But I've been doing curries. I've been doing. I made naan for the first time ever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's impressive. That's really good. Oh, cool. So you can firmly go to the international aisles now in the supermarkets and do your shopping and get what you need for your cooking.
Yes.
Good. And how about music? Is there any music that's important to you and remind you of home?
Yes. There's two parts to that. One is also because of the bit where when I spoke in Hindi and people were like, you don't sound very good when you say that, so don't, like, rather not. There's a lot of Hindi music. There's so much of Hindi music, and it's really, really good. There's poetry. It's brilliant. And especially when you think of Indian music, you think of music that sounds Indian, that I isolated myself from. And so I perform and I sing, but I very rarely sing in Hindi because, again, you get the same thing of, man, you sound foreign when you do that. But my wife is from England, and she went there for like a bit, and that's where we met. And so she loves watching Bollywood movies, and she dances to Bollywood, and
wow.
Yeah, and so now that we're back here, she plays that music. And again, with the transition of food and everything else, I've started embracing that, and so I like it.
Nice.
Because you accept that it's not somebody else's and it's yours. But the part two to that question, because my family is Catholic, they listen to a lot of, mostly, honestly, country western music, which you wouldn't think it's so weird, but there's a huge number of people in India, and I'm guessing all over the world, but it's weird when you think of India, that listen to Willie Nelson, John Denver, the Bellamy Brothers religiously. They sing the songs,
Wow.
Yeah. So that to me that feels like my culture, because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
Though it's not Indian. So yeah.
I did not know that. Yeah, that's a surprise to me. I didn't know that country and western was so popular, but then it makes sense with, as you said, with the Catholic influence and the big Catholic population in India. Oh wow. Nice. And so when you play music, what type of music do you play? Is it related to country and western? Is it created to Hindi, or is it completely different?
So country western's a huge. So my dad listened to Willie Nelson, John Denver, country western. My mom listened to folk, and I think folk Americana, and soft rock. So Simon and Garfunkel, Elton John, Seals and Croft, just that sphere. And so I would, whether or not I liked it, I listened to that all my childhood, and then that's the foundation. I play both those kinds of music. I write both of those kinds of music as well, and then I grew up listening to Linkin Park, Korn, Eminem, Deftones, just that, and then John Mayer, Ed Sheeran, and Kings of Leon, you know, and so all of that basically.
Wow, so like a huge mix, all in one. I love that. Nice. Are there any like values or traditions that is really important to you in relation to your culture? Once again, I love that we respect age, and that I don't know how to say this right, but if you see someone that's older than you that's struggling with something, whether it's like carrying something, like if they're carrying heavy bags, I don't know if this is just common sense, and or if they're struggling with technology, and because that sometimes that's a big part of my job, helping people with that. I love being able to do that. If I used to help my grandfather with his Nokia brick phone, and he'd forget, and we'd over and over and over, and so that's a big part of just me. And I love that is something that is highly, I suppose it's bred into us. And I know that we're all getting old. We're all gonna, if we're lucky enough to reach that age, we're gonna need help. And so that. Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to share today that we've not talked about?
Not that I can think of.
No, that was amazing, really interesting. I feel like I've learnt loads.
Thanks so very much for having me.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.